So this happens a lot. Some lawyers have put their name on the door and then they've hired a bunch of people who aren't lawyers to do lawyer work. And then they're just like very hands off.
If you don't do an eviction correctly, it's a long process.
You're just hemorrhaging money every month. Some lawyers have fiddled with that. And then when the Florida bar comes knocking, they fabricate stuff.
How can you be ethical at that point?
You can't. No one cares about the landlord.
No.
Everybody thinks the landlord's rich.
Everybody thinks like, oh, you own a property. Since you're renting it, you have all this extra money.
And it's like, no, dude, I'm struggling. Welcome to the Miami Common Law Podcast, where we discuss business law and litigation as seen through Miami's entrepreneurial and cultural lens. I'm Jesus La Rosa, a Florida licensed attorney and the host of the Miami Common Law Podcast. Although this show is hosted by my law firm, La Rosa Law PA, it is not part of my legal practice. It is, however, my effort to have some fun, nerd out with my peers, and share zero-cost insights and entertainment for Miami's entrepreneurs and legal community. Our goal is to help business owners avoid mistakes, and to create value for lawyers and clients alike. All right, guys, a little housekeeping. If you've not signed a contract with my firm, I'm not your lawyer. Also, laws change and jurisdictions differ. So if you've got any questions about anything we've said here today, please call a lawyer in your area. All right, with that, we'll get started. I'm going to get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and introduce my guest today, the lovely Cindy Yanis. Thank you so much for being here today, for joining us in this experiment, this lovely little thing that we're doing, trying to inject a little fun into the profession, doing something a little unorthodox.
Yeah, different.
We do things different, right? We do things at our office. Everything's kind of not standard, and this is sort of the most recent thing.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you for joining me. I'm going to get right into some of the introducing. Let's go way back. I love doing the way back with my people. Will eventually get to know you and you'll be a recurring guest, I'm sure. But let's go back to the interest in the profession, right? I don't know. I mean, early, I know I definitely was told like, hey, you should be a lawyer. You know what I mean? When they don't mean it. They don't mean it in a good way. Yeah. I was sometime in middle school. They were like, ay, papi, tú debes ser abogado, and I'm like, oh, okay. And, I took it as a compliment because I'm that naive. Yeah. But think back to the archives. Cuando te picó el bicho? What happened? What went wrong?
It's a funny story, and I think it's how it happened, and I remember it. I think I was in elementary school.
I love it.
And
I love it. Way back.
It's probably going to be like, I feel a lot of people's way that they got into law school. Maybe not. The movie, I watched Legally Blonde.
Oh my God. The best. It was pretty good.
I watched Legally Blonde.
It was pretty good.
I'm in elementary school, and I think it was like our student fair, or like the professions were coming out, and I had watched that movie, and I loved it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be just like her. And then ever since then.
But not blonde.
Yeah, not blonde. Ever since then, everything. I love the whole movie, the Chihuahua, the dog, and then she was like into animal rights. So I saw that movie, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be a lawyer. And then ever since,
like elementary school.
It might have been like 3rd or 4th grade. And ever since then, I just stuck to it. I'm like, it's a lawyer. I really didn't think of anything else. Like, I never went into like different paths. Because my family's either into anything numbers-wise, accounting, or medical. And I'm like completely away from that. Like, I'm the only one in my family that went the legal route. But that's how it started. I
didn't know that about your family. Tell me a little bit about what mom and dad did, because obviously, as you know, mom's a doctor. But I never got the like, listen, mijo, you better do cosa seria. I didn't, no one did that to me. My mom's like the closest thing a Cuban gets to being like a hippie, where I think, looking back on it, I think maybe she did it on purpose. I think she did like the reverse psychology on me. She was like, I'm going to tell him to get earrings and get tattoos. And like, I'm going to tell him you could be whatever you want. I mean, you look good with a man bun and a those studs that were good in the 90s. And I was like, mami, tú estás loca. So she basically like raised the square, but like not on purpose. Yeah. Maybe so did your family do something similar, or were they more pushy about like, hey, this is what we consider to be serious?
Not at all. So my family, nowhere. I think they were just, if you do fine in school, like they weren't really that involved. They didn't tell me like pick this profession or do this. I was always just very into like myself doing things. Right. So I remember I got into the gifted program and I did that. And then once I wanted to proceed with like, I told them like, hey, I want to be a lawyer. Of course, for them, it's like, oh my God, that sounds so great. Oh my
God. They plug right in. You get all the kudos as a kid. You're like, yes, you've picked correctly. Yes, let's help you out.
So they loved it. And then they never really pushed me towards anything else. They never told me like, oh, how's this going? Or because after that, I kind of did it on my own. They really didn't know much about school or like what I had to do.
Right.
So it's almost like figuring it out and meeting friends that were in the same profession. And that's how I went with this.
So I remember, I remember seeing, you went to FIU, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not crazy. I think I saw you there. I think I saw you like at the law school because I was there a lot.
Me too.
I lived on campus for a little bit.
Oh,
okay.
no, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Didn't. My best friend lived there though, so I was there often.
Right.
Often. And then we probably did because I did.
You crossed paths.
Probably. I did psychology. I did the sociology.
I did psychology as well. So maybe that would have been probably where maybe we cross-pollinated some paths there. So you go into FIU knowing you're going to do law school, knowing that that's kind of your path. And so what made you decide on psychology as an undergrad? Because I did philosophy as an undergrad, but I did psychology as a minor.
Well, I didn't do it as a minor. I picked psychology and sociology just out of I wanted to understand pretty much those concepts, especially, sociology is pretty interesting, understanding like different ways people are raised and how we kind of critique or feel about other things going on. So I found that interesting, but I actually did international relations, which was completely different, and then pre-law.
So wait, did you double major? How did that work? You went with one eventually, but you did some
random classes.
You took a couple left turns is what I'm hearing. You did a couple credentials here, a couple extra credit there.
I just did random things and like, well, let me try, a few things out.
So what does your degree read? I never read it.
International relations and then
That's interesting.
No. Political science and then a minor in international relations.
Whoa. So you just like took sociology and psychology electives just to see what's up.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Because I wanted to study that at first, way, way, way before I actually even got into like what I wanted to focus on. I remember I was really interested in like the criminal side of things. And then psychology, I wanted to understand, how people get in contact with like, certain.
Right. I feel like there's this girl fascination with like serial killers and crimes and it makes sense, right? You're like, dude, why are they so crazy? Like, let's understand how we can get killed, called over the head by a man.
Well, in law school, I wrote a paper on a serial killer, so that was a whole other thing. So it was that. That's kind of why I did the psychology and studying the mind and moving forward with that. Yeah. Interesting.
Okay. So then, so we're in undergrad. We're kind of seeing what's up. I realized in undergrad I didn't care about politics. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I went philosophy because I was like, ethics makes sense. Like that feels more foundational to me. Like the difference between that democracy and that other democracy, I was like, oh my God, I can't memorize that many weird things, right? No. So then you're an undergrad and you're starting to think about law school more seriously. When does like LSAT prep and that type of thing become? When did you do that? Did you do that after you graduated, or did you start doing that before?
I believe after I graduated, because I did take 2 years off after graduating.
Ooh,
I took
2 gap years. I didn't know this about you, Cindy. What did you do? Did you go to Europe?
No,
Did you go places? You just hung out?
I wish I did those things. I actually, because I was scared. Everybody's like, well, make sure you really want to do law school because it's so expensive.
You have way smarter friends than I do. My God.
So they told me that, and I was like, you know what? You're right. Let me make sure I do really enjoy it. And that's when I got a job at a law firm.
Oh, okay.
And then I wanted to see, the different things going on. And then where I worked, there was like doing different things. One was doing criminal law, one was doing immigration, and then, personal injury. So I had got like a taste of it. Okay. And then I'm like, okay, I actually do enjoy it. I'm going to move forward with it.
So wise.
And then that's when I did the LSAT, and I was doing the LSAT. And then based on my LSAT, I'm like, well, you know what? Like, I'm looking for a certain score to get the scholarships and
got it.
That, yeah.
So that's how you landed on St. Thomas. You got like a decent package over there.
Yeah.
Sick. That's awesome. Yeah, I applied to everywhere that waived my fee. I think I've told you this before. No? Yeah, so this was 2016, so diversity was a thing. We were writing the diversity wave. Not here in Miami so much. People didn't hear about that here. But as you know, Callie's from Oregon. Mm-hmm. So she's like, dude, you're like a Hispanic male. Like, you need to, she was like, you got to play the system. Like, you got to draft a diversity statement, and I have a story to tell there. So we did. And a bunch of schools, there's this like portal that you have that you use, that it's the same portal to apply to a bunch of different schools.
Okay.
Through that portal, a bunch of schools, Iowa being one of them, reached out and said, hey, apply for free. You know how the applications are like 75, 85, like they're costly.
Yeah.
And Callie, also not from Miami, she's trying to get me the hell out of here. She was like, I'm never going to get this guy out of here if I don't get him out now. So she was like, you got to apply everywhere. And I was like, are you sure? Because I kind of like, at the time I'm living at FIU, at the Fiji house, chilling. Nice. I could have been the house dad at the Fiji house, walked to FIU law. Oh, no. Like, I would have been coronado, you know? So I'm like, all right, this crazy gringo wants me to apply everywhere, I will. So I applied to 35 schools I ended up applying to.
35?
35 schools. Insane, right? Insane. So I cast a super wide net, and ended up because I got a good package and stuff at Iowa. But I mean, I could have gone to FIU for sure. And then it was like an admit at UF, but it wasn't as cushy. It wasn't as cushy. And then it boiled down to, it was like really, there was like a bunch in the middle, like Wake Forest and Emory and,
Emory, I have a friend that went there.
Like UC San Diego too was like accepted, but not great money. And it was basically, it came down to like, it was like Vanderbilt sticker, which would have been like $250.
I have another friend that went to Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Which is like, I was like, man, that's kind of in the South. That's not a long flight. I was like, maybe. And, but then Iowa came in with the fricandoli. And I was like, duh. That free is the free? Come on.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you got to go where the free is.
Where they pay, not pay you, but you're not paying so much.
100%.
I remember they told me, they're like, law school is kind of, with your debt, is the golden handcuffs.
100%. 100%.
Like, that's very true.
But just think about what we do, right? If, like, I couldn't have started this thing if I had 6-figure debt, right? I would have had to go whoever, right? Whoever was paying the most. Yeah. Right? Who, like insurance defense, whatever. Not saying anything about, I love my insurance defense lawyers, but there's like a cheese wheel there that people can get trapped into
because of the student debt.
Exactly. Right. Whereas we can kind of have a little bit more fun and work-life balance and these other things are considerations and stuff. Okay. So you go to St. Thomas. I think you go at the same time as a good buddy of mine, Daniel Gabaudi.
I did. Yes, I had a class.
We call him Gooby.
Yes, had a class. Yeah.
Okay. He comes up every now and again.
Yeah.
So then going back to you though, at some point, so you were at this firm, then you had an interest. You said you did a couple different things at this firm. What did you like the most, and what did you like the least of what you saw there? Without throwing anybody under the bus, or throw somebody. Who cares? Push them out. Push them out the door. Who gives a hell?
No.
Just don't say their name.
No. I won't say names. But, I mean, I think it did spark the interest. One of them did do criminal law. And it was a lot when I saw certain things, like the pictures they see. Because you always, I hear stories. But then when you actually see photos of actual people and you're there, it's a lot to take in. So that's kind of when I steered away from criminal law, and I was like, maybe that's. I feel like you're
private. You like your boundaries.
Yes.
You like to control your environment.
Yes, and it's a
lot.
And
criminal law is a bit.
It's heavy.
Involved.
It's a heavy field, which is what I kind of understood there. And then other than that, immigration and then PI was just very, to me, it was interesting overall. I didn't really see anything bad about them. One of them did international immigration and more on the international aspect, but it was just interesting overall. I didn't really dislike anything.
Okay. So when you come to us, you'd already done St. Thomas, so you were kind of in a gap, right? Like after you had finished St. Thomas, but you hadn't finished with the bar exam and stuff like that. So you actually applied to a paralegal position that we had open for like an immigration paralegal. Yes. So back then we were doing immigration because we were kind of finding our soul too, Yeah. Which listen, it's all my immigration lawyers keep fighting the good fight. You know what I mean?
It's hard.
I feel like you got to really like that stuff.
You have to love it.
You got to love it.
You have to.
I hate. More than anything, I hate selling a service that I'm not like super proud of. Like I wake up every day and I'm like thinking about my clients. You know who they are.
Yes.
That I spend all my time on, that I'm like advocating. Yes. And I found myself in immigration not feeling that way. And then it feels icky to sell that service when you're like not as into it. That's true. And I was like, okay, I didn't do all this work to end up here.
And I can tell just because my best friend loves immigration since day one.
Okay.
She's loved immigration.
Tell me about her.
Yeah,
I think I know this friend.
Yes, she's very passionate about immigration. She actually moved to Texas.
No way.
When they offered her, she was living by the border, middle of nowhere.
Oh my gosh, she's a real pilgrim, that one. She went over there to the front lines.
Yeah, by herself. By herself, just to help people,
Wow.
And all those things. She's very, very passionate about those things. And of course, with everything in immigration going on, she's had a tough time with it. But she's one of those that, for her, it's not like she's not driven by anything but helping people.
That's
with
amazing.
Immigration
That's
issues.
amazing.
And if you speak to her, she's still passionate about it. Like,
wow.
She'll try to help anybody, and always. And she would tell me stories that it was like, young people that she'll try to help, and the abuse going on in immigration. So for her, it was like very important to do it. Recently, with everything changing, it's been hard for her.
It's hard now. Yeah, I'm sure, because it's a little bit like criminal law in that it's all encompassing, especially if you're in a place where you're trying to do good work.
Yes.
The volumes are too high. The odds are stacked against the clients. That's just the facts. Yeah. It's just like I wouldn't touch an asylum now with a 10-foot pole. Do you know what I mean?
Asylum is a hard one.
It's so tough.
It's a hard one, but I feel before it was a little easier. I know, like, they would take certain cases on, but asylum is one that's very hard. I don't know.
It's just the numbers are off. It doesn't take a guy from McKinsey to tell you that the numbers don't make sense, you guys. You know what I mean?
Yes, but asylum, I mean,
it's rough.
It is.
So you come in at that time. We were doing a lot more family-based immigration. Now we only do employment-based, and we do a little bit whatever comes through the door. We're not marketing that at all. But eventually, you kind of work your way up. You take the bar, you pass the bar, you start doing more diverse. I mean, you have the most diverse practice, I think, of any lawyer that I know.
I've done a little of everything.
A little bit of everything, right?
Everything.
But you had an interest early on. You had an interest in tax law, and then more recently an interest in real estate law. So tell me a little bit about those, and you helped me out with immigration a little bit. So tell me a little bit about your dabbling in those little areas, and kind of what took you in those directions, and kind of what you're enjoying the most now.
Well, tax, the reason I went with tax, which I should have maybe done a little longer, I've always liked math. Again, I don't know if with my family, the accounting, that also I've always enjoyed. So
which is unique for a lawyer.
Math was... Lord
knows I don't.
I mean, I used to love math. I remember in high school I had done calculus and all those things. So math was my thing. But nobody ever told me that it was kind of a skill to have in law school. So then I guess I didn't take that much advantage of it until my last year of law school. And I'm like, I'm going to do tax law and see.
Interesting.
Because I was really interested in federal law. Because, again, I can only practice in Florida when we do other types of law. And I was thinking, well, if I do tax, if I ever have to move, I can go anywhere.
Right.
With tax law, which is the reason I was interested in immigration, too, because we can just move around and I can go to any other state. But I enjoyed tax law because of that, and because I just thought it was just a necessary thing that everybody should know.
Right.
And I honestly believe it should have been on the bar.
That's interesting.
I just think
it comes up a lot. Like the tax consequences of this thing or that thing, or setting this up or setting that up, or
it's just a good subject. I feel we should have learned more, studying for the bar. And again, everybody goes through it, so I just it's just a subject that makes sense to know.
Right.
And it's interesting once you start looking into more. And I did corporate tax law, and like even like family structures of how you build a retirement plan. All those things I was learning through tax. It's just such a smart.
So you were just interested in tax law. You didn't think like, because this is something I would have thought, like, what does a tax lawyer bill? And then you go, holy shit! Like, I want to do tax law. You know what I mean?
I even looked into an LLM, because if you do a master's, yes, the pay is a lot higher.
It's not bad.
It's not bad, because I guess a lot of people don't enjoy it. A lot of people don't like it. But again,
I have a lot of buddies that ended up doing tax law, like in New York and stuff like that.
It's a good subject. And it's good to do, especially for yourself, if you do want to build and have this nice portfolio in the future. It's a good thing to know. And again, like my brother does taxes, so it was just part of that side of my family. So it was nice.
Cool. So then, more recently with real estate law, kind of bringing it into today's topic a little bit. I mean, actually, before we go there, because I'm like thinking about having kids. This is a big non sequitur. Sorry for the non sequitur. This is a left turn, guys. We're gonna come back to real estate. I promise. We're gonna do the whole rest of the episode. But Cindy's a young mother.
Well, yeah.
And I'm thinking about perhaps becoming a young father. And so I'm like, tell me about the reviews. I'm like, tell me what's up with the reviews. I want to know what it's like.
I mean,
so like Nana, yay or nay? What are we doing? What's the hours, the flow? Because it's hard because we work remote, right? And so what I've been told is like, man, if you work remote, it's gonna be hard because you're gonna do neither correctly. But I've not felt that from you. I feel like you've been killing it. So I'm like, well, how's Cindy doing it? So I'll ask her during the podcast episode.
So I would say, from, I guess, some advice, it's different for the mother and the father. I would say, just because Mateo's remote, but he can hyper focus just on work. Like, interesting. He's not distracted by the baby. Right. And then I guess as a mother, you feel guilty, almost like ignoring, even when there's help, right? You just feel like, oh, he needs his mom, or so you feel a little bit more like, I'll break my focus and I have to, be with the baby. Sure. But before I had kids, I was very into like, yes, I'll have a nanny. You need a nanny. You need someone to help you. But then again, like when it's your own kids, you're like, oh, I'm a little scared. I don't want him to be with someone I don't know. But I do have a lot of help. So I have my mother-in-law who comes and she'll stay with us like 2 months at a time, and she takes over completely. So that's been super nice. That's been a huge help, and why I can just, separate the two. And then when she's not here, I have my niece who comes and she'll see him like 3 times a week for me, and she takes over. Solid. So that's the way it's been working out. Of course, when you're remote, right? Because he sees you all the time, or they'll see you all the time there, and they're like, well, why aren't you paying attention to me? Like, focus on me. But when he's around people he knows, he really doesn't care. Like, he's fine with other people, which is one thing I really enjoyed. Like, a lot of people, when you're a stay-at-home mom, I feel they're really attached just to the mother. That makes sense. So I didn't want him to feel like a separation anxiety or anything like that from me. So I really tried to focus on him being with his grandma, my sister, my uncles and stuff like that. So he's very okay being with other people. I could drop him off at my mom's house and like he doesn't cry. He's just like, he'll see the dogs and he'll be like, all right, I'm fine. And so that's been a huge factor in the way we've been able to work and separate all that. And of course, you need that balance. Like, it can't just be one or the other. Sure. Especially with kids. That's nice. I'm thinking like Callie is like a good old, she's a mujer independiente, right? She's a feminist from Oregon. So she's out. She's going to get her maternity leave and she's thinking like, I'm going to go to work, bro. She doesn't work remote. Oh. Yeah. So it should be, so it's interesting. But the good thing is we're compensating a little bit because Abuela is like really good. My mom's there to help. And that's where you would feel more comfortable. Just because, of course, you don't want to give up your own life. That's one thing I have learned too. You just can't be just a mother. And that's because you need that balance. I've noticed like even if I don't do like yoga classes, or if I don't stick to what I used to do before, you just get really, really lost in everything. So if you're like very focused with like, I want to be this, I want to work. One thing my mother-in-law told me, she's like, you need to focus more instead of like quantity and time with your child, focus on the quality. So if you're working, all this time, whenever you do spend with him, make sure it's like valuable time. That's very wise. Yeah, there's some people that don't be on your phone. Be like, don't give them an iPad. Right. Don't have them watch TV. Like, just play with them, focus with them. We go on walks. So we do a lot of stuff. Like when we are just with him, like he doesn't watch TV. Like I didn't want that. I didn't want him to have like a screen or anything like that. Right. So he doesn't watch TV. Like I commend you for that. That's hard. That's so hard. It's so easy to just default to be like here. Yeah. And you'll see, of course, like if you're on your phone, he's like, well, what is that? And then he'll try to tap it. But like there's been times when I'm like, well, let's see if he even likes TV. I've put on a show for him. He'll look at the TV and then 2 minutes later, he's like distracted and he wants to play. So I'm like, okay. That's cool. It's not really that, like, he doesn't care that much for it now. So I want him to continue like that. I want to just, put a TV because it's easier. So I do try to do that. Like whenever I'm with him, we're doing something. Like either he's playing or I'm trying to teach him something, or you try to read him books, or we go for walks, or he loves playing with the dog, something. So that's what I've noticed. Like, it's that quality. Very nice. Very nice. I think I can do that. I think we can manage. Okay. Well, thank you for the review. I think that's very helpful. So
So we'll get back to the interest in real estate law.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had kind of a busy 2024. Am I right?
Yeah.
And so you bought a house, you had a baby.
And I got a dog.
You got a dog. Tremendous. So, but correct me if I'm wrong, but some of the interest in real estate law was sparked through a little bit of the journey that you went through in trying to.
It was hard.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that.
It was really hard.
Because you guys decided like mid 2023, like we want to do this.
So
before?
I started looking for houses in 2019.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was looking for a very long time. We were living in Brickell. It was right before the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And then we decided to stay in Brickell. And then COVID hit. Mm-hmm. So we're like, well, we can't really buy a house now. You know, everything was like shut down. And it just wasn't the time, you know, with jobs, everything was a little unstable. So I'm like, okay, I'll give it a rest. 2021, I kept looking. And I don't know if it was right after COVID, the Miami market went crazy.
It popped off because it just got flooded with capital and the interest rates were so low that it was just like insane.
It was crazy. So I don't know if it was 2022.
They call it peak ZERP.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
In financial circles.
It was horrible. I mean, that time was horrible. It was very much a struggle. I remember I don't know if it was 2022. Again, so many years. I don't even know when we were putting offers. But we started, like, I think around 2022. We would put in offers. And I guess because it was such a hot market, the contracts, they're like, you cannot, I forgot what they would write, that we couldn't do like certain inspections, something. Like we couldn't put like a certain clause because it's either you bought it how it is or like, you know, they were just
waiving the inspection period.
Yes. Like,
they're like, listen, we don't got time for an inspection.
Yeah.
Right? This is going like hotcakes.
Yeah. So
wow.
I'm like,
I didn't even know that.
They were doing some crazy, and I'm like, I don't feel comfortable buying a house like this. Like, or no, it wasn't even an inspection. It's like is it the appraisal? It was like pretty much, you know, they were trying to inflate the prices, and they're like, well, you have to buy it regardless of what the bank says it's worth.
Whoa.
So then I'm like, well, if you're offering, let's say 500,
because you do like a contingency, like okay, like yeah, we'll offer that if it gets appraised within this range.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's what it was. And there was a point where we're like, you can't even add a contingency. So I'm like, well, if the house is listed at 500 and the bank is saying it's worth 375, then you need to come up with that 125,000 out of pocket.
Right.
So we didn't feel comfortable with those things, but that's how they started selling. And of course people.
This is Miami right here. This is like peak, the quintessential Miami situations.
I was very like, I guess thrown back by all of that, and it kind of tainted the experience for a little bit because the worst time, and I still remember it. We were looking at a lot of houses, and there was this one townhouse. I believe it was in Doral. There was a line around the block to see this house.
Oh my God!
A line
for like an open house.
I don't even know. It must have been an open house, but I'm like, there's no way I'm making a line to see a house. It was a normal townhouse.
Right.
Like a normal townhouse. And it was like 85 degrees. It was extremely hot. And I'm like, I can't.
You gave up then.
I gave up.
You're like, okay,
I didn't
done.
even see it. I'm like, there's no way. I'm sure someone's going to outbid me.
Right.
So we left. And that was the process over and over and over.
I didn't go through that. I was in New York at that time.
No, we did a lot. And then whenever we would have an offer, it would become a battle. I remember we put another offer in. And then they asked like, well, we have another bidder. Like, do you want to bid higher? So we were playing this game, like, all right, we're going to bid this much, and then they'll bid more, and then we'll bid this. And it was like, we lost it again.
Because it was like free money over, like, it was like 2.5%, 3%. People were just like, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter what the price is. I want that house.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It just became so difficult that, again, at that point, you're just feeling like, well, this is just impossible to do. So you kind of give up a little bit. Even my own friends that they were looking for houses, they're like, we're going to stop. Like, it's just too much.
Because it's soul crushing. Because every time you go to a house, you
love it.
You love it, and you envision your future there, right? You're like, oh my God, this could be the room for this, and oh my God, we could go to the coffee shop that's down the road. And every time it doesn't work out, you're like heartbroken, right? So we did that a bunch too.
I would get on my iPad and like resketch the photos, and I'm like, I'll redo this, and then it would hit me that the realtor would call and be like, look, they just accepted a cash offer, because that was the other thing. Everybody came in with cash. It was even to the point that we were offering more money for a house, but they would accept less because it was cash.
No, and this is actually something that we were going to talk about today, which I want to do now because it just came up naturally. So I'm going to do something unorthodox, and we're going to hit one of the Sazón Completo topics, which is on this idea of people just coming out of nowhere with cash offers in Miami. What is going on?
I saw that, and it happened a few times, and that's when it got like devastating because I'm like, how do you compete with an all cash offer?
You don't. You're SOL.
Yeah.
Right. Right. And because Miami, we're getting now. Right, the wealth migrants from New York.
Yes, and California.
Because everybody wants to blame it on Mamdani. I get it. Listen, I'm Cuban. All right, don't get me started on Mamdani, right? Yeah. But going as far as COVID, I feel like New Yorkers were coming down looking for things. Californians leaving California because they get tax heavy. Then you get all the Latin Americans, anybody that can afford it, right? Because it's like the unofficial capital of Latin America.
Yes, it is.
And then you just have a Colombian family with like literally a suitcase. Like, I'll take the house. Yeah. And you're like, no, I need 60 days to find financing. And the seller's like, no, I'll take the suitcase.
I need to move my funds from this account to this account. And that's what happened for like another year.
Tremendous.
Oh.
Tremendous. Yeah. And that's us that like, you know, your husband does a good job.
Yeah.
Right?
That's why I was shocked. I was like, you know, like we're both professionals.
You're a professional.
We're both professionals. Right? And I'm like, and I'm struggling. I'm like, how are other people?
I was looking into this, and in 2025, 43% of all home deals in the first half of 2025 were closed with all cash in Miami. The highest rate of any metro in U.S. in the United States. Isn't that insane?
I read that.
What is going on here?
I know, and I'm like, should I be shocked? Should I be shocked at this point?
It's not surprising. It is like...
It's a crazy number.
I feel that.
It's a crazy number. But I guess since I lost a few houses to cash offers, I'm like, well, this is probably happening left and right.
Right.
Because my friend, again, she was trying to buy a house too. And she told me the same thing. They're like, oh, cash offer. And I'm like,
well, as you know, Callie's an interior designer. So when we moved, we were like, we want to do the Miami thing, but we love New York. So we walked the walking, you know, going places, and she wanted to be like around her industry.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh my God, there's this whole place right now popping off called the Design District. Like, let's look around. When I tell you that these huts are getting like $1 million, these like built in 1940,
we saw around there.
Shanty, like.
Yeah, very.
I mean, look, I'm not trying to be mean, right? I'm not trying to be mean. It's a neighborhood that has been recently gentrified, right? So I thought this is an opportunity. Maybe we can get a multifamily for like $500-600, renovate, live in one. Yes. I had all these grand Cuban ideas about what it would be, and you make an offer, and it's like, no, actually, we just accepted a cash offer for $1.2 million. Thank you very much. And then I look at the stats, and then I see Blackstone is all over this. Blackstone. So we have all this private equity. So Blackstone recently paid $116 million.
Yeah, there's no way.
For a 359 unit rental complex. Guess where? Hialeah.
It's a new up and coming.
They're coming to Hialeah. They're already done with the Design District. They already bought everything in the Design District, and they're coming over here. Wynwood, tremendous. So another interesting stat is, so Miami home prices have recently soared 50%. 50% since 2019. Yeah. Nowhere else in the United States is seeing stuff like that, and they're calling it like they think there's like an elevated bubble risk. They're like, oh, it's a little bit like, you know, in 2008. I don't know if you remember in 2008.
Of course I do.
Where like a house in Hialeah was still $500,000. Yeah, well, when everything collapsed, right? But they're seeing similarities. The pros are like, But what I'm not seeing is people giving loans. Like in 2008, if you had a pulse, you got a loan, right? People like whatever. Yeah. People were just making commission on these loans. None of them made sense. No one cared. But I'm not seeing that now. I'm seeing you have to be like an Olympic athlete to get a loan now.
No, I'm not. I don't think they're being that risky anymore, which is why a lot of people are saying that we're not going to see a collapse again like that. Do I believe maybe houses will go down? I mean, I'm starting to see that just because I keep getting, you know, I still look on Zillow
right.
and
they're just holding. They're so hard-headed. Yeah.
But
people are just like, I'm not going to sell.
Yeah.
If no one will buy, I just won't sell. They just delist it.
Yeah.
You see houses that they come on the market, they're on the market for 2-3 months, And then the owner takes it off. And they're like, no, I'm just going to sit on my 3% interest rate.
Yeah. That happened with my neighbor. When we bought our house, or the neighbors, our neighbors, it was empty. And then we were able to like speak to them and be like, well, what are you doing with the house? Because it was listed at the same time we bought ours. And they had it listed for months. And I'm like, they don't even have it rented.
Right.
And eventually they didn't sell it and they just rented it.
Wow.
To someone, because I guess they weren't getting the number they were looking at. And I'm starting to see that. But some people, I do see that they're lowering the prices of the houses, but still very high.
Very like
minor, yeah.
Like nominal. They're like a gesture. A gesture. So like, you know what I mean?
So it re-pops up on my feed.
Well, just because in 2024 you bought one, in 2025 Callie and I bought one, and it was the same thing. We were like, guys, it's not worth that. And they're like, yes, it is. And we're like, it really isn't. Like, look at the appraisal and look at the market. You've had it on the market this long. And we were fighting over like $1,500 at one point. Oh, no. You know what I mean? I was like, come on, guys, what are we doing? Right? Yeah. And so if that's us, if that's me and you, like the you know, we're lawyers, right? We're professionals. We're like, you know, trying to secure the bag. You know, what happens to teachers, nurses, first responders? What happens to people, you know, just providing regular, you know, services? Just like
I see
your blue collar folks with, you know.
I'm probably just renting at this point.
I was seeing that it's something like 70% of people rent in Miami now. 70%. Oh, wow. Only 30% own.
So we're very lucky.
It's insane. Bring it in here.
We're very lucky.
We got it in, dude. Just in time. Just in time.
I know. Wow.
Yeah. So, but they have this thing. They have this thing called the hometown hero program, which I was doing some research on this before we spoke about it, which was funded in 2025. To provide down payment assistance up to $35,000 for teachers, nurses, police, and first responders. That's nice. I saw an article on Miami Herald about that.
I think I'm so reasonable with those things. I think because we struggled so much to buy a house that I'm like, everybody deserves to own a house.
It feels nice.
It does. So I'm like, if they get the help, I'm like, you know, get it, because rent is another thing that's not controlled.
It's been nuts too. It's also increased tremendously.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you know, Callie and I ended up deciding to not move into the house we bought. We just rented it. We stayed at mom's. We're like, we'll keep raising funds. We'll keep
it makes sense.
Well, because you're all in. You're all in on a thing. You're all of a sudden in the worst financial position, and then you're expected to like cover a mortgage, right?
That happens.
And buy furniture and do this and do that, and you're like, dude, how about? I was like, how about we don't do that?
It's expensive.
How about we rent it?
Yes.
We found phenomenal tenants. I won't say what we call them. We have a name for them, but they're wonderful. They're from out of state, and they haven't been a bother at all. Yeah.
That's very important.
And I feel like we did the impossible, which is that we're not losing money every month on the thing. We're actually making not much, but a couple $100.
Yeah,
you know, something. All inclusive. So I feel like just like 5,000 pounds off my chest. Like, okay, we stuck the landing. We're smooth sailing.
That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Right. At one point, I'm like, let's just buy in another state. Like, we can do
just like, let's just take the box.
Yes. I'm like, buy somewhere else and rent it out. It was because, you know, a property under your name. I felt like that's kind of like one of the goals, right? Like, I really wanted a property. But renting is very smart. My brother did that, too. He bought a house, stayed with my mom, and they rented it.
Listen, so the interest in real estate gets sparked by this journey, this like 5-year journey. You finally get one. You're like, dude, I kind of like, because you're kind of a masochist a little bit too. You're like, listen, that was painful, but we got through it. And now I kind of feel like ready to make a contribution. Yeah. And so now we've done a little bit of like real estate litigation at the firm, right? Like commercial real estate litigation. We've done some interesting landlord tenant work, which is the subject of the article today.
Yes.
You ready to get into that?
Yeah.
A little bit of landlord tenant, a little bit of Hialeah.
Let me follow.
We got to get music, like cue the music, pam, like a little salsa to be like, we're going to talk about the Miami common law theme now. Okay.
We need to.
So one of the things that happens in Miami, and weirdly it happened to me in New York as well, is that these landlords, están vuelto loco. They don't pay you.
No.
You come in, you pay first and last month sometimes. You pay the security deposit. And then it's the end of the lease. And you're like, where's my money? And they look at you like, they're like, what are you talking about, your money? They look at you like they're going to have to take money out of their pocket to pay you. And I'm like, listen.
Offended.
They're offended. Like, do you understand what a deposit is?
Probably not.
That's not your petty cash.
Probably not.
But over here, Miami common law, it's a little different. A little Hialeah common law, they don't know what's up.
Yeah, Miami's different. But it happens, I feel, in a lot of places.
It does. It does. Less so so it's interesting you say that, because I was looking at some of the other jurisdictions that have that. So some of the laws in other places are way stricter. I mean, listen, this happened to me in New York, right? So but in that case, the building that I was in, I didn't realize this until I filed suit, and they got back to me, of course. But apparently the property manager that was overseeing the property when I was there filed for bankruptcy like immediately when we left.
Okay.
And then the new property manager that came in didn't realize they didn't have it conveniently. You know, this is what they said, right? Like, whatever. Like, you know, we take everything with a grain of salt now, right? Because of experience. But they said that we had been just marked as, you know, properly vacated, and so we never heard back until I sued them, of course. And they were like, "Oh, how can we make it good?" Right? Because I'm looking at the law in New York, and over there it's interesting. They have to provide, first of all, they have to hold it in an interest-bearing account.
Okay. Yeah.
And they can charge an administrative fee, but they have to pay you the interest.
Yeah.
So one of the things I did is I calculated the interest going back to 2021. You know what I mean? And I calculated it aggressively. Yeah. I was like, yo, that was like a 5% a year, you know? They pay me more than that. It's a
little savings, I would say, people feel.
That's how I ended up feeling.
Yeah.
But over there, I mean, I see in New York, for instance, I found this in the Florida's manual, section 703. It has a comparative section. Mm-hmm. And so in New York, deposits held in trust, commingling is treated as conversion, and tenants can win automatically. And so in Chicago, they do double deposit penalties. Imagine that. That would teach a Hialeah landlord, right? In Massachusetts, they have triple for deposit violations. Isn't that nuts?
Wow.
They're getting a discount over here.
They are. I don't think they know.
Yeah. In Connecticut, they do punitive double damages plus fees, plus attorney's fees. Isn't insane, right?
Well, at least some landlords I've come across, I don't think they really know about this.
They just don't, right? They just buy, right? Because it's the same person, right? They arrive, they buy a property cash, right? They come from either from Latin America, or or whatever, right? Maybe who knows? I don't want to put myself in the head of the potential investor. Listen, we all mean well, right? Mm-hmm. But they don't necessarily understand the system, right? They understand the security deposit is to be held in trust, is to be, it's not to be commingled. Right. And
it's a very strict thing.
It is.
And
it is. The statute is kind of nuts, right? Because I feel like there's like a whole timing structure. Why don't you walk us through some of those things?
Well, when I was looking at it, with the timing structure, one thing, I mean, I started reading on this, and I know they're even very specific with the wording.
Interesting.
Yeah, the statute, it has to be like a specific. So when you, as a landlord, when you have a security deposit and, the person vacates, you need to give them this 30-day notice, right? If you're putting a claim.
Okay.
If you're putting a claim on that deposit, whether it's for damages or anything else. You have that 30-day notice period. And then from there, a tenant, I feel, gets the right to object. Because sometimes what I've noticed, too, is that landlords do these, like, petty claims when technically it's, like, wear and tear.
Yeah, all of a sudden they got to paint the whole apartment.
Yes. So then, of course, it's their right.
They got to clean the rugs. Yeah.
So I'm just...
What rugs? Nobody's got rugs in Miami.
Right. So then you have to give the tenant the right to object. It's their money.
Got it.
And then, of course, they move forward if, there's this whole dispute between that. And then they go into, like, the issues. What is it? The 45 days?
So we have the 35, 15, 45 timing structure, right? So they have 30 days
to send the objection.
To send a written claim notice, right, after the tenant leaves, or forfeiture of the claim of deposit. You have 30 days. You didn't meet it? Ugats. You get nothing, right? Don't talk to me about the deposit.
That's another thing that not even when I was seeing it, and then how strict that you even lose it. Because as a landlord, because I've seen it or I've come across it, when people owe you money, let's say if they even haven't paid or they're behind on rent, you still can't use a deposit because you would have to give that notice that you're keeping it for those reasons, let's say.
Yeah, people just steal it.
Yes. So they think, oh, I'm in the right.
Uh-huh.
I'm taking this money. They owe me. So
Right.
it's technically there's no fault.
Uh-huh.
But Florida's so strict
Super
that
strict.
regardless of them owing you money, you need to tell the tenants that you're keeping it.
You got to tell them exactly how much, and you got to send the invoice, and then the tenant gets 15 days to object, to say, no, I cleaned the carpet. You don't need to paint the
I have pictures.
the wall. I have pictures, right? and then after the 15 days, then 45 days to file suit once the tenant objects, basically to solve the dispute, right? Because you guys don't agree.
Yes.
You can't just take the money and fix the thing, right? You gotta keep that money in trust. If you're the landlord, you got to eat the cost.
Yes.
Do what you need to do to flip to make the apartment the unit ready for another tenant.
Yes.
Instead of stealing the money.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Which is what landlords probably don't think it's that severe of a situation, but that's how Florida sees it.
Right.
When it comes to the deposits. But not a lot of landlords do that.
Nobody.
At all.
I have not met a single landlord, and I didn't rent a ton here, but like. I haven't. Well, I guess people who call us, it's kind of not a great representative sample because it's the instances in which things haven't gone to plan. But I mean, well, you know this, right? We started taking these on contingency because they're just so fun.
Yeah.
Because the landlords are so wrong.
And it's very easy.
It's just like, and you just file in small claims, and you can get in front of the judge in a month or two to mediate with the. Yeah. With the landlord, and the landlords typically they're not judgment proof,
even if they have claims,
right? So they typically have the funds, and this is something that I actually discovered researching for the article. So most of these lease agreements have provide for attorney's fees. Okay, and so we have kind of a standard rate that we charge in order to take somebody on. But I didn't realize this, but Florida law itself provides for fees in these disputes, which is interesting. Yeah. I was like, wow, that's even more, because I was turning down some cases because I was like, oh, your lease agreement doesn't say about attorney's fees, and I know typically you have to have it in the agreement, but
that's true.
But Florida law has its own little provision that provides for that. So I think that's very exciting. We're going to keep doing that because it's also just fun. It's like, come on, man. You know better.
Well, I think it goes into the fact that, you can't state you're ignorant on certain things because there's no protection with that and the landlords, and why you would take it on contingency because it's very, in this case, I would say a little black and white. Either you send the notice or you lose it, or you either follow it.
Correct.
So there's not really much to it or much argument.
It's so procedurally stringent.
It is.
And so few people are doing it. And like, frankly, it's not worth it if they fight back a bunch. Like if they hire counsel, like the landlord hires counsel, and then it gets into like protracted litigation and stuff over the minutia. But it's not like they can't really even set off and stuff. It's just they're just increasing the fees, And so what we've gotten good at is showing the opposing counsel like, look, this is how wrong you are. Like you're just increasing the fees that your client's going to be liable for. Your guy didn't pay.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think if more landlords knew how easy it was, then they would probably follow this a lot more.
Right. Because I feel like there's at least two types of landlords. One who's personally involved, right? They have one or two or three properties and they're doing everything. They have a 9-to-5, they have maybe a small business, but they're also like being like, right, like me, right? Like I have the firm. And now I have tenants, right? And I'm like being super OCD, right? And they're like my single child. You know what I mean? So they're getting like premium service, right? But then there's other types of tenants or landlords that are like commercial, sort of professional landlords, or they have property managers, right? A lot of the times when there's a lot of units at stake, there's these property management companies that handle this stuff, and that's problematic too, right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about how these property management companies kind of, let's say, when things go awry with the property management companies.
Well, from property managers, what they tend to do wrong is that they kind of step into the shoes of a lawyer sometimes, and they mess up these notices and they change the wording. And again, from Florida statutes, wording is very, very critical in these situations. So when you do have a property manager that does have this type of issue, it falls on the landlord. You can't really say, oh, the manager did an error, so I'm kind of protected by that. It's not my fault. So then landlords, again, if the manager didn't do this correctly, will forfeit that security deposit. And that's when you would need both to do, you know, these things correctly.
And these property managers, they're not even allowed to draft these things, right? All they can do is fill in the blank. Pretty much. On forms that already exist. Like the Supreme Court has a standard form for this that, by the way, I've never seen. I've never, in an actual case, maybe it's some distorted version of it, but no one's using that.
No, I haven't seen that either.
Right. And so you have property managers negotiating lease terms, which they're not supposed to do, right? It's like unauthorized practice of law, right? Yeah. They're filling in these things. They're like editing the notices. They're drafting the notices. They're like negotiating evictions.
Oh, that's another issue.
They're filing claims.
That's another issue with them. Yes, and the eviction process is another one.
Right.
Which is kind of a weird, where I go back to this whole security deposit. Even when you're evicting someone, there's two different issues of how landlords can't even keep the deposit in those situations. Because eviction is obviously about possession, and then the security deposit will still have to go back to those tenants, regardless, even if they do owe you money. So that's...
Yeah, I find this whole area so interesting because I think the course of dealing, right, the Miami common law way of doing things is so prevalent. Like we're all just in the stew, and nobody's bothered to read the statute. Like it's one of those things that it gets me going because
I think it's because they've probably done it for so long,
right? And
it's not until maybe recently that we're having these issues
until they get me as opposing counsel, and they all think I'm an asshole. It's like, well, what do you want, bro? The guy, punched the wall, and I'm like, I don't care.
And
where's the deposit? Where's your notice?
I think it affects both equally, right? Tenants, because tenants also don't know. Like you had mentioned, well, the attorney's costs are covered. So when you do have a deposit that's like $2,000-$3,000, you're like, well, should I hire a lawyer? That's more expensive than that. And then
that's what bugs me is when the landlords make the calculus like, oh, this is $2,000-$3,000. It costs at least that much to hire an attorney.
They're not going to go.
They're not going to do that. It's not worth the headache, right? And they just keep the money.
And that's what I think happens, and that's why I think more tenants don't do anything about those deposits because they also don't know that they can ask for that back. And if the landlord doesn't do what they have to, then the landlord loses that.
Exactly. And so here we have two solutions. One that I'm going to have a whole episode on later that solves the landlord piece, but obviously one that we've alluded to already, which is our contingency representation, right? Because it solves that, oh man, how much is this going to cost me situation.
Yes.
We do it kind of more high volume. We have a strategy already. We're well versed in this, and we kind of go straight to small claims, so we're not dealing with long procedural mechanics that you would be stuck. And then the other piece, which is a service that we offer to landlords, which is outside general counsel for landlords, where I'm not going to get into crazy specifics because I want it to be its own standalone episode, but we set out to solve these issues, right? We endeavor to charge essentially the same thing that a property manager would, more or less. They charge a percentage of rent. So typically, I looked into this when I was like, okay, like this seems like a problem. Can we offer a solution? And the typical property manager, their unique skill set, because you do have to be licensed to be a property manager, and their unique skill set is that they're a broker. And so what they can do that we can't as lawyers is they can go into the market and find a tenant. They can tell the landlord, like, okay, don't worry about it. I'm going to find you a tenant, and I'm going to charge a commission for finding the tenant. I'm going to try. Typically what they do is at the first month of rent, that's what they charge. We can't do that because we're not licensed real estate brokers, right? The funny thing is we can do everything else, right? And it's like, to the extent you're a landlord and you want to keep your first month's rent, I don't care. I don't want to find your tenant. No. You go find your own tenant, right? Find a realtor or whatever to find you a tenant if you want. But once you have one, I mean, I know that I've already, for my own tenants, I drafted the lease agreement bespoke. I negotiated it from beginning to end. I added provisions because of the nature of who my tenants are. they're younger guys.
Okay.
They just moved to Miami. Coming from Greek life and the fraternity experience myself,
Okay.
like that's the evil I know. So I'm like, okay, we're going to add things to this contract that says, look, if there's noise complaints above this many, you're out. If one of you are out, then the other two are on the hook. If I get things from the HOA, if I get complaints with the HOA and I get fees, you're going to pay for it, right? So every property is unique. Every tenant is unique. And every lease agreement, therefore, I think merits having included in there, it doesn't take long, 30 minutes, an hour to write in some bespoke things about
based on,
right? A property manager can't do that.
No.
Okay. We can have a legal operations specialist go to the house, check on the house, coordinate contractors. That's within the scope of what we do. But a property manager can't evict somebody, right? There's like some exclusion in small claims where they can file the claim, but it's got to be like very like limited in scope. And so anyway, outside general counsel seeks to address all that for landlords. So the two pieces are, one, the contingency fee, the other is the outside general counsel for landlords. So is there anything, I mean, because this is kind of like I get on the soapbox with this thing because we've been screwed, right? We've been screwed.
Yeah, and it's happened in my family too with the evictions.
Tell me. Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do an eviction correctly, it's a long process.
Right.
It's a long process where, the landlord gets affected and then it becomes almost like a mess.
You're just hemorrhaging money every month.
Exactly.
Because it's not like these houses are, it's not like you buy a property and now you're just going to like make rent forever. And every month, like if you buy a property now in 2025, it's almost impossible. Like, dude, Callie and I went out of our way to do it. Like we like did pirouettes. Like it's insane. Most landlords don't turn a profit.
Mm-mm.
So if on top of that, you're going to just eat 1, 2, 3 months of rent, it's like, it's absolutely bad.
Very stressful. Yeah. The people I know have been in the negative.
Right.
When they're renting. And then when, this eviction happened, it was almost 6 months.
Whoa.
Almost 6 months.
Because were they doing it pro se or what? How come it took that long?
I think they were doing it pro se. And I'm not sure who got involved after, but it was almost like a bit of a mess, I would say. It was a bit of a mess. I didn't know.
Tenant starts making equity defenses. No, que si mi mamá, que si mi papá, que si gato.
No, it was a bunch. Again, it was a bit of a mess. The tenants were for sure. They were pro se. They were filing answers, like handwritten answers. I'm like.
And things just take long, right? Because you got to get hearings in front of the court.
And you just can't go there, right? And just show up because you can't do that
You can't do like a DIY, change the locks, because then you're super screwed.
Yeah, and at that point, you're trespassing.
Right.
But it definitely takes a long time if you don't know how to do it correctly. And again, the one that suffers is a landlord in that situation. And again, it's just...
No one cares about the landlord.
No.
Everybody thinks the landlord's rich.
I know. That's the issue, right? Everybody thinks like, oh, you own a property. Since you're renting it, you have all this extra money.
Right.
And sometimes...
And it's like, no, dude, I'm struggling. I live with my mom.
It's the
You know what I mean? Like, we're making it work, but meanwhile, this is,
they don't know. Yeah.
Right.
It happened.
They think you're Blackstone.
Yeah. They think you just have it all figured out and you're just, living day by day.
Oh my God. They believe Instagram. They believe what they saw on Instagram. Listen, brother, false advertising on Instagram. Okay. So then does that put the kibosh? I feel like, our article that we're publishing is pretty comprehensive. I don't feel the need to belabor the point and put on a college course on, I think people will get the point. So then let's get into a little bit of our Sazón Completo.
Okay.
You excited? You ready to do that?
Am I supposed to do a dance?
Okay, no, you don't have to do a dance. That's just me. Yeah. I'm the dancing one here. Okay. So then we already spoke about the private equity. So Sazón Completo is 3 things. It's news, it's the AI update, and it's disciplinary action trends. Okay. And so because with the news, obviously we want to stay a little bit current. With the disciplinary actions, it's that old, listen, learn from others, right?
Yeah.
Learn from others' mistakes and stuff. It's not from like a place of, oh, let's dance on their graves. It's like, oh man, let's make sure that we don't. So what we focus on are things that well-meaning attorneys could do inappropriately. Okay. So we already handled the private equity thing. Our news for today was, Miami prices being crazy, cash offers being out of hand. So then let's get into the disciplinary actions. Why not? And so today we've got some that are specific to real estate, right? Because today's our real estate theme day. And of course, the repeat offenders, the escrow, right? The escrow transactions. What did you do with my money, bro?
Oh, but the way it's phrased, it's funny.
Yes, it's trust, account mismanagement, and escrow violations. Okay, so this is just like a recurring theme. You have to be really LCD. You have to have a good bookkeeper. We don't really handle transactional real estate work. We're not a title agency. We do litigation stuff now, and we offer the outside general counsel for landlords, which is not within the realm of facilitating a deal. But to the extent you're facilitating a deal, you're holding earnest money. You're holding the money from the lender, right? You're doing all these other things. It quote goes without saying, right? But it doesn't, right? Because I feel like people get in trouble, right? They have to meet financial obligations. They're like, this deal's not going to close for 2 months. So
they do something else with the money.
They do something wild, and then that's your bar. Like that's it. You're done. Because it can be audited.
Yes.
It's not like, I'm going to take this money, I'm going to put it back. It's all, the statements are there.
I feel like that's where maybe, of course, if you have like a good separation, it shouldn't be that difficult. But I feel like we've come across issues like that.
It's incredible how often, right.
And nobody wants to be that clear with their accounts. So
it's insane. It's insane.
It's a bit, I would say, I don't know how they don't follow those rules.
Right. We've butted heads with counsel.
Yes.
Where we're like, dude, you got to send us we represent either the guardian or we represent somebody whose escrow account you hold. You got to provide it to us. And they're like, no, it's privileged.
Yeah.
Is it privileged? It's not privileged.
But we've never gotten it.
We've never gotten it. Yeah, because it's like pulling teeth.
But that's what I'm saying. I wonder why people are so sensitive with that.
It's because they got something to hide.
I guess.
It's got to be.
You see, I'm naive in those areas. I always feel like, everybody works by the book. Everybody's like,
no, I know how the sausage gets made. Forget about it.
But yeah, we've come across that where, I guess they just do.
They're like, I'll produce it when the Florida bar tells me that I have to produce it, and then I'll still think about it.
Yeah. And then we'll see.
Right?
We'll see.
It's like,
we'll see.
Are you crazy?
Yeah, and that's what would scare me. I don't know how relaxed, I guess, you can be about it.
I'm not relaxed.
No, I know.
Yeah.
No, I know. I know you're very, very.
Yeah.
Very OCD.
Yeah, we have a bookkeeper. She reconciles that once a month. I got a report.
Yeah, and then.
Yeah.
But I feel like you should be.
And we do refundable escrows.
Yes.
There's law firms that don't. I don't know if this is legit. Like I actually haven't looked into this.
Okay. That's interesting. But what did they do?
Someone represented my mother, her medical practice. We didn't use the whole escrow balance. Mm-hmm. Nearing the end of the, let's say we were like, look, we don't need you to help us anymore. Return the money. And counsel was like, no, that's a non-refundable escrow deposit.
What?
I was like, is that a thing? I looked at the agreement. The agreement said it wasn't refundable. So I was busy. I was like starting the firm. Yeah. I was like, this is not worth. But now looking back at it, I'm like, it's the client's money.
Yeah, because you have to work and then.
Right. You don't, just because somebody made you an escrow advance, we have to look into that. We should have looked into that before.
Yeah, that's very interesting because what if, within 2-3 hours, they don't want you
anymore?
What if they fire you?
Se quedó con el dinero.
I would think twice about paying something.
I know.
With a non-refundable.
Isn't she? Well, this counsel, I already said it was she. Man, sorry. I didn't mean to disclose. But I feel like they were lucky I didn't turn around and go, okay, I'm going to make a complaint with the bar. Cause
we would have to, because that's not your money.
Right. And it was like a couple $1,000s.
Oh.
Yeah. It wasn't like, it wasn't like $200.
No. I definitely would have asked for my money back.
Right. Yeah. So, sometimes I'm like, whatever, I turn the page or whatever. Yeah.
No.
So the first thing, escrow things.
Yes.
Second thing, conflicts of interest and dual representation. This is something that, like, obviously you can't be on both sides of the V. For some reason, people in these real estate transactions, get caught like representing both lenders and borrowers in foreclosure litigation or in timeshare exits. So people are like, maybe you're like lawyer to the institution that owns a timeshare, and then but the guy that has a timeshare wants to leave, and you're like, hey man, like I'm not gonna represent you, but here's some free legal advice. Like, this is what I would do if I were you. You know what I mean? Trying to be human.
Yeah.
It's like you got to be professional.
Exactly. You can't mix both. I mean, that's a huge conflict. No, then you would have.
I would think so, but for some reason this happens in this space. I was doing some statistics on this, and it's like, wow, that happens more often than not. And then the foreclosure litigation. So attorneys sometimes attempted to represent both lenders and borrowers without informed consent. So I'm thinking like they represent the lender. There's an issue with the borrower. Maybe they're just trying to mediate. You know, they get into a situation where they're just trying to work out a deal, and they kind of fall into representing both, but they're not really on paper. But then when the Florida bar looks at it, they go, "You're representing both. What are you doing?"
But then they would have to disclose that they're helping both. But
they don't, because they're trying to be like, no, the nice guy. Like, I'm just trying to help you out. Blah, blah, blah. Right? It
comes off as shady.
Yeah, it comes off as shady, and it's not the right way to do it. So this is another thing that happens a lot, it looks like, in real estate stuff. Another thing is, so this happens a lot, and it goes back to the property manager issue, which is delegating work to folks who aren't lawyers to do lawyer work. Yeah. So apparently some law firms have, you know, some lawyers have put their name on the door, and then they've hired a bunch of people to do real estate transactions, to do property management, to do everything like that. And then they're just like very hands off. That's crazy. You know?
I mean, I feel like that, what is it with ethics? Is it that you can't sell a service when it's not, pretty much you're advertising for the wrong thing?
Right. I think it's a combination of that and just not having adequate supervision. And I don't want to put anybody on blast, but I read a case that was pretty wild. You know?
I feel like
it was like a little bit like if you were just going to make it's like just full gas on the money and you just like didn't care, right? And it's just like someone's running that thing. I'm making a check, right?
Well, I've seen that with, you know, when people have high volume cases.
Exactly.
You know, the lawyer's like, oh yeah, I'll sign it off and send it.
You know better, I think, as counsel, right? We're not like doctors and stuff. Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't sleep. I wouldn't sleep at night. There's no way. Like, I feel like there's definitely some negligence there. That's not something that I think most well-meaning people would fall into, but apparently it's something that happens in real estate. And then the other thing that I saw a lot here was when the Florida bar does come knocking, I saw a lot of like fugazi. We talked about this before, right? I sent you the McConaughey video. You're like, what does that word mean? Fugazi. It doesn't exist.
That's such a good scene.
There was, it's amazing. It's like seared in my head. But apparently some lawyers have like falsified, like, you know, when I close out an account, when I, you know, somebody says, hey, that's it, like we're done. And I'm like, all right, cool, beautiful. Like we'll be here next time. I always send them like the account statement, all their bills,
everything.
Right? Like, hey, just, you know, if you need us, here we are. Some lawyers have fiddled with that. You know, like, I'm going to add a little here, take a little there.
Again.
And then when the Florida bar comes knocking, they fabricate stuff to like, instead of being like, hey man, I screwed up, you know, fess up to it, whatever.
Admit to the mistakes.
Right.
That's crazy in the sense.
They'll try to like settle with the client, like por debajo la mesa, and then send the Florida bar like an exhibit that says, no, look, everything was done correctly.
How can you be ethical at that point?
You can't. But apparently this happens a lot also in real estate. So man, I'm really happy we're just doing litigation for now.
I mean, it seems like they're very tainted.
The transactional work down here is apparently gets kind of insane.
Again, it's almost like since they probably have done it, who knows how often.
I wonder how many times that happens and goes well before it like really doesn't and
I
becomes
feel like it's just
a case study.
You only need one.
And you end up on a podcast.
Yeah, you only need one. I can't.
Right.
I feel like I'm just such a nervous person with those things.
That helps me. I need a thorough person around
I'm
me.
just too nervous for that.
Right.
I don't know. But we've come across, well, it's
some wild boys. Yeah.
way far in it.
Okay, so that those are the disciplinary actions. Then we have some AI updates. We like to do a monthly AI update because it moves so quickly.
AI is crazy.
It's so crazy,
it's
right?
Crazy with how fast
Just
it moves.
even you've been with us now since 2021, right, Cindy?
22.
22.
Mm-hmm.
3 years.
3 years.
Almost.
Yep.
Or more. Almost
Yeah.
going on 4. Because we're like, it's about to be 2026.
I know how fast time goes.
And we started and there wasn't ChatGPT.
No.
And we felt we were at the bleeding edge. We were remote on Zoom. We had, we were using cloud, right?
Yeah. So advanced.
And then it just comes out of nowhere, 2022, 2023. And it just, for a while, it was kind of like clunky. Like, we were like, I don't know.
Yeah. In the beginning, I would say.
Like, we didn't adopt it right away. We were like,
No.
this kind of, we didn't see the use.
The benefits, yeah. I wouldn't say, I guess it's useful, but it was like useful for like my little house stuff, like.
Right.
I don't know. I'll ask ChatGPT, hey, I have a certain plant. What do I do? ChatGPT was like resourceful.
It was like a little toy.
Yeah.
It was like, show me a recipe. Like, what's a new recipe for whatever?
It was fun. People were like, do this. Or, they'll say like that. The recipes was a big thing in the beginning. Like, do a meal plan. And you're like, okay.
And what was it? You told me the other day, it was telling you like there was too much demand. And you were like pulling out your hair. Yeah. Like fast forward to today, you're like, I can't work.
It was. It says there was a high demand to try again later.
You're like, oh no, I've got a deadline.
Yeah.
Like,
it was
that's
like
when you feel like,
night.
holy shit, like I actually use this a lot.
It was 10 o'clock at night. And I was like, whoa, this demand at this time. So apparently a lot of people are using it very late at night.
So apparently OpenAI uses Cloudflare.
Okay.
It's like I don't know. It's a company that does magic on the background to make it work. Let's just say that because this is about as much as I know. I won't pretend I know more than that.
Okay.
And I go to ChatGPT and it tells me, undo your Cloudflare block. I was like, that's weird. I don't have a Cloudflare block. So I Google it, and apparently Cloudflare was down. ChatGPT was down.
What is this cloud? What is this?
It's something that they use in the background.
Okay,
Maybe it's like their cloud storage.
okay.
Maybe it's their servers. I don't know.
Okay.
That day I was like, I guess I'm writing emails today.
There's nothing.
I was like, I'm not doing any deliverables. I went over to Clio and I was like, I guess I'm pausing that.
Oh my!
Like,
it's just it's become very helpful.
Super helpful.
Very, very helpful.
Right.
But you got to know how to use it.
You got to know how to use it. You got to know, and we go in depth into this here, and using it to synthesize information, bringing in source material from Lexis, right? It's really key at taking a corpus and making it whoop. This is what it is.
That's what it's really, really. I would say that's when ChatGPT is like a good tool.
Right.
When you have like your 30 cases and you're like, well,
right.
I have 30 cases. You've done, case research, and then you want to combine.
Right.
I can't just focus on ChatGPT. That would be crazy. Just to focus on which we've seen. A lot of people are now.
Yeah, they've tripped over that tripwire, huh? It's getting less glamorous now. It's less cute when people just like hallucinate a case and they cite to it.
Not only that, I'm not even saying, we've seen lawyers when they've done that, and I'm still shocked that you see that now.
Right.
When we know.
Yeah, it's not cute. It's not cute. It's not cute anymore. Yeah.
That's wild. But, we're seeing a lot more people, become, pro se because of this. And
so this is actually what we're going to talk about today, right? The ChatGPT litigant.
Yeah.
Right. And so recently OpenAI was all over the news with a press release saying that you cannot use our services for provision of tailored advice that requires a license, such as legal or medical advice, without appropriate involvement by a licensed professional. So this tanked their stock. When they made this change for a while, it tanked their stock for a little. It came back up.
I don't follow the stocks like that.
But did you hear on the news? Oh my God, no legal advice, no medical advice. You didn't hear that?
No.
You're just busy being a mother. I love that. And working for cases.
I get certain, I have the news on my phone, but I think it's like tailored to certain things.
Sure.
I don't get everything.
You're like in your echo chamber. I love that. You're happy in there.
I have like a little small.
Anyway, isn't the thing in the tech community? It like the world was on fire for like a week because they released this, and I was like, what does that actually mean? Because they changed the policy.
Okay.
Right? They changed the policy, but I was like, does that mean that they're changing the actual code? Is it like, if you're a lawyer and you're using it, is it going to say, sorry, I can't help you out? What does that mean? And so I looked into it, and this gentleman by the name of Karan Singhal, I think I'm saying that right. Karan Singhal. Anyway, he leads OpenAI's health AI team. Okay. He says the model behavior remains unchanged. It's not a new change. ChatGPT has never been a substitute for professional legal advice. It will continue to be a great resource to help people understand legal and health information, and the model behavior becomes unchanged. So really, they just changed the policy to cover their ass, right? They were like, CYA, don't be stupid.
Okay. But you still have the same information.
Exactly. It's like the same exact thing. Just know that if it tells you to take 20 Advils, that was a mistake. You're stupid for paying attention, right?
Well, there's always been a disclaimer, though, at the bottom. I mean, it always says...
Well, they made it more explicit, apparently.
Okay.
Because I think they were getting sued.
Oh.
Yeah, I think people were...
how can you follow that? But,
losing cases. They're showing up to court, losing a case, and then, but ChatGPT told me to.
That this was the best route, that this case exists.
Right.
I mean, it always says that it can make mistakes. I mean...
Right.
I wouldn't trust ChatGPT in that sense, especially... I do see that a lot. You know, I've seen it even in, like, the mental health area, that they were using, like, ChatGPT almost like a therapist.
Tell me more.
That they would, like, you know...
This is the part of the echo chamber that I'm not getting. So, fill me in.
Well, no, I just know people that, you know, work in those fields. And, you know, they come across certain people that said, like, well, I was asking ChatGPT about, I don't know, let's say there's mental health status. And they're like, well, I mean, why are you talking to a computer? You know, like when you should be seeking, you know, someone in person.
Licensed.
But I guess they're starting with ChatGPT first.
Well, the people are not as available.
Oh, it could be.
And they cost money.
And yeah, of course. I mean, but still, I would feel like, is it going to help?
Is it? I mean, this is an interesting question, which is, if you were a person that was struggling with mental health issues, especially the newer generations, I feel like you and I would rather speak to a human.
Yes.
Our default is like
person.
It's not right. But I wonder if like Gen Z and then subsequent generations, if they don't feel more comfortable in front of a screen. Right. Because it's kind of rough being in front of a therapist when you can't even hold eye contact. Because you're like an iPad child.
Yes, I've seen that. Well, with the younger kids, you know, they prefer being on their computers and phones. So, of course, and they were born into this life. Like they're like
it's not their fault.
They're the tech era, you know, and Generation Alpha and all that. They're just, you know, now they're born with ChatGPT. Like, we didn't see that. So I do understand the difference. I know.
I feel like we're so lucky. We rode the wave of the iPhone. We like had no iPhone. We learned to be like real humans in the world. Yeah. But we also benefited from having the iPhone. Yeah. Right? We like our legs went numb in the bathroom, like scrolling with it, right? We also did that.
Both. So of course, like we lived without the technology and we were able to socialize with our families.
And you and I had to like go to law school without ChatGPT. Imagine law school with ChatGPT.
Yes. But from what I'm hearing now, they have like huge filters with ChatGPT though. It's almost
Tell me more.
When I don't remember the program it was called when we were in college. So, you know, you would submit your papers and it would scan it for plagiarism.
Right.
Now they have a program that scans to see if anything was written through ChatGPT.
Interesting.
So now
I just don't think that works.
Who knows?
I don't know. Because
I mean, who knows?
I feel like I bet like whatever Callie writes, it's going to come back like ChatGPT wrote it. Because she's like in the 99.9% verbal. Oh, okay. And she's just like taught the GMAT for years. So then she writes a paper and like this thing might tell you that the ChatGPT wrote it.
That's happened. I saw that there's been some errors where they're catching it as ChatGPT and
it's not.
So then of course maybe they do that as a scare tactic.
Yeah,
I don't know how far. Of course, I don't know how far it goes. I mean, how do you really say whether
it's a brave new world? It's a brave new world. But think about like outlines. Condensing outlines. You never have to write another case
even
brief.
Studying for the bar.
Making study materials.
Yes, I probably would have asked ChatGPT, well, teach me
a million things.
I don't know, Article 3 or Article 9. Like, teach
Right.
me, or give me fact patterns that are just easier to understand, like real life patterns.
And by the way, don't just tell me the answer. Teach me like a Socratic teacher.
Oh, that's true.
Like, only prompt me with questions.
That's true.
Like, don't ever give me the answer.
Yeah.
Tell me if I approximate the answer. You could do cool stuff like that.
So
with
it's a very
right.
I mean, it would have been a game changer, I feel.
Right.
But of course, because we
developed the muscle, and now we can we have that benefit, but we can use it for good too.
I wonder which is interesting, because when we were in law school, we had all our case books, and then I would have to go to class, and I would do my IRAC and all that,
right,
and then case for case,
and we have that shit like in our hearts, right?
Yes.
But I feel like this new generation doesn't.
I wonder. I really do want to ask people in law school now.
Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, what?
I worry about them.
I do. I mean, we should ask them.
We do. We have some people.
Ask them because it's interesting. I remember I was so scared that I was like reading everything word for word, highlighting, because they call on you just randomly. So I'm like, I can never be called on unprepared.
Right.
So you'll spend like hours reading. But I wonder now with ChatGPT, you just like summarize a case for me and tell me the issue.
We'll have to ask our clerks and see, like, hey, maybe I know. So both Melissa and Evelyn spoke about it on the podcast a little bit, and it's different than what you and I did.
Isn't that crazy? We didn't graduate that long ago to see such a major change.
It's insane. But I mean, it is what it is.
Maybe they're really fast. Maybe they're just more advanced.
Maybe. I hope that my worst fear is like that their brain is just rotting.
Oh, because they're just used to it being
just not using it. They just like turn off their brain. The thing's gonna be my brain.
Well, that's for sure.
Even I do a lot less writing now.
I do see that, especially, even let's say on the iPads now,
right.
You start writing out a math problem and it does, before it was just the answer, but now I feel like it can give you a breakdown.
Right.
And I'm like, well, what are people
Which is really cool, but you're just not going to do the heavy lifting.
Of course. And then I'm like, well, are you developed?
If you gave me a calculator at age 3, I would be done. I wouldn't know how to divide. You know what I mean?
I know. And before I was like, I would do everything in my head.
Right.
Everything. And I'm just like, no.
No, I'm like,
I know. I'm like, I'm tired. Like, I need this faster. But that's, I think, the issue. I think we're getting a little impatient. Yeah. I think that's what technology is doing, because of course there's always going to be the talk whether technology is either good or bad for like the younger kids.
Right.
But I mean, I think it's good, but then we're losing out on social skills. Like,
and parents, you got to be careful about make decisions about what the kids are allowed to use and what problems they can solve on ChatGPT, and it's gonna be intense.
I'm seeing that too. Even in the curriculum, like in middle school and stuff, they're doing a lot of computer work where it's like these like mini courses on computers.
Right.
I didn't have that.
We didn't have that. Yeah.
I didn't have any of that. Everything was like paper. I would write it out. Like, do people even write? Like, are we even using pencils? I don't know.
My penmanship is terrible.
I used to. I don't even think they teach cursive.
Definitely don't. They didn't when I went through.
You didn't? No. I know cursive. I wanted to learn calligraphy at one point because I really loved cursive.
Callie did it in her design class.
It's such a pretty
calligraphy. Yeah.
But I mean, who knows?
No.
But back to ChatGPT, I feel like it changed everybody's life. I feel like all 100%. The professions are using it. Probably even, a lot of people I know, like let's say the medical field. I don't know exactly what their reports are.
Right.
It just helps become faster.
Mom just dictates it to her. So she's got patients, and this thing is just listening to the patient encounter, and it helps her draft the notes.
Oh, I've
the
seen
patient
that.
notes.
I've seen
So
that.
it's been a game changer in that space. And speaking of that though, and the rate of change, we have 5.1 that just came out. So we had GPT-5. Now it's GPT-1. Have you noticed a shift at all? Did you even notice that the thing changed on the top left or no?
Well, no, I'm not. I guess I'm not like that hyper focused. The only thing I noticed with ChatGPT, which I don't know which update this was that now it literally does take a little longer. It'll tell
it's like
me,
thinking.
Yeah,
and it's like thinking harder.
Yeah, like 27 seconds, and I'm like,
okay.
Wow, if you're thinking like it's
I like it when it thinks.
Me too.
Sometimes I tell it quality over speed. Take your time. I do. I tell it. I want you to think about this, because I'll upload like 5 or 6 cases, and I'm like, think about this narrow issue. Okay. And you prompt it like, I tell it quality over speed. It's important that you get this right. Anything in quotes has to be verbatim. And then it's like, okay, thinking.
Yeah.
40 minutes. Okay, whatever. Or 40 seconds.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
well, 40 minutes.
No, 40 minutes I would not use it.
I would be like,
Yeah,
wow,
40 seconds.
That's a whole
too
other
much.
level. No, but with ChatGPT, yes, you have to be, and like you just mentioned, very specific with what you want. That's what we've noticed. It loves to put things in quotation marks.
Sometimes, and it's very paraphrased.
Yeah,
typically, unless you tell it like verbatim.
Yeah, it can't be changed, but a lot of things in quotation marks. I'm like, But I overall think it's been, I think, a great help. And I don't know if like maybe it's our generation that's coming, you know, they're welcoming it more.
Right.
But as far as like other people, I mean, I just don't know how quick you can be.
Yeah.
Without ChatGPT.
Net, I would not put that cat back in the bag. I'm like, it's here to stay. Forget about it.
I think I'm like, well, what if it went down? Sometimes I think, well,
I got a rough.
What if technology went down? And sometimes what I think about, I'm like, well,
because we take on more volume now. I know I have because I'm like, I know I can manage. Yeah. You know, I used to do these. I used to have to do all-nighters, like to finish a brief or whatever, right? Like now I'm like,
back in the day.
Now I can write an article, like the article that we're publishing today, you know, in a day.
Yeah. And you feel pretty confident.
And you feel good about it. I feel good about the content. I looked at all the source materials.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of the busy work, you know?
Of course.
Right.
That's like the tedious little things that you have to go through. Of course, like with the research, that's like where I would do the heavy lifting, which I would think is a time consuming part. Like your cases, your research. And then, of course, you use ChatGPT just to make that little bit
I also like
faster.
To write the intros.
Oh, well, you're very charismatic in that sense.
Well, because I have a voice.
Yeah.
I have a voice. And I hate
you
when...
You can make it funny.
Yeah, I hate when it reads like a generative AI wrote my shit.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, nah. Like, okay, let me get in here. And then in the intro, you can tell the machine, here's how I write. Here's my voice. Here's my tone. Wow. Let's use that in the rest of the... In the rest of the work.
Give it a little bit of character.
Exactly.
Which I think we still need it, right? I think the personality is a big factor, and then you don't want it to come off as like, oh, this is like, I don't know, it's a little boring to read, and then nobody's gonna read. You know, I think our attention span now to even
it's
read,
shorter. It's like bop, get to the point. Get to the point.
You have like a 30-second window to I think catch someone's attention. So you do have to make sure that like intro is like spot on.
On point.
Yeah, spot on.
Bueno, Cindy,
yeah. This
has been a phenomenal experience. I hope you'll be back. Yeah. I know we don't do them super often, especially, you know, because we're doing once a month and then we rotate. Yeah. But we got to do one on outside general counsel. I know that we're doing one on non-compete. So we'll be back. We'll draft the whole thing and we'll have a whole little infomercial, I think, on why outside general counsel is better than property managers. Yeah. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope this was comfortable and a good experience. And
it was fun.
And that you'll be back.
It was fun. Thank you.
Awesome.
This was fun.
Alrighty.